And so, Martha, would you please come with your family to say a few words about ISIS?
I have to read my statement. But first of all, I'd like to say that it really is an honor to represent the family of Isis Duarte Tavares. She, as April mentioned, she was a prominent sociologist in the Dominican Republic, and she also was a lifelong activist on many fronts. She died in 2011. She was a professor for over 20 years at the Universidad Autónoma de Santo Domingo, the UAS, and served on various occasions as the director of the sociology department. Actually, she was a founding member and also the first woman to head a department within that institution. She was a pioneering scholar among a group of other scholars of urban studies in the Dominican Republic, and she was a leading contributor to the field of gender and women's studies. She also studied in Chile under the auspices of a United Nations fellowship, where she earned a master's degree in social sciences at FLASCO, the Facultad Latinoamericana de Ciencias Sociales. She authored 9 books and multiple articles, which I don't have time to name, but I think it's important to note that some were published in the Dominican Republic, others in the United States, and they're currently housed in libraries around the world. The study that she felt was proudest of was one that came out of her dissertation, and when she published that book, it did receive a National Book Award in 1980, the Pedro Enriquez Ureña Prize in the Dominican Republic. She co-authored numerous other books with other scholars, among them Ramonina Berea. And also one of her most recent works, Mujer y Política en la República Dominicana, which she co-authored with Julia Hasbun. And so all of these works really illustrate the diversity of her work. Also on another level, she received a number of accolades, among them a 1996 Medal of Merit, which is an award honoring outstanding Dominican women. She also received awarded the distinction of perpetual membership in the Academy of Sciences of the Dominican Republic. As an activist scholar, which is the field that she really held closest to her heart, she worked closely throughout her life with various women's groups and political organizations, and in 1993 founded the civic organization Participación Ciudadana. And many of her works, for those of you that are familiar with them, focused on marginalized sectors in the Dominican Republic, calling attention to critical issues relating to domestic workers, street children, urban and rural workers. Her multiple works on women provided an analysis of social conditions, labor, education, and political and civic organizing. She never really fully retired from research and writing or community involvement. And during the last few years of her life, she worked as an independent researcher and consultant. I think, also one of the major things that I'd like to leave you with is the fact that Isis represented one of the many great minds and scholars who labored tirelessly in the Dominican Republic, in Haiti, and in the Caribbean at large. They work with passion and commitment. They receive little or no funding, and they often get very little recognition outside of their home countries. Those of us working outside of the Caribbean rely on these island scholars to open their homes, their libraries, and to share their contacts and their knowledge. We use their foundational studies as bridges to our own research And too often, that bridge has been unidirectional. I think it's important to note that the Isis Duarte Prize, the Guy Alexander Prize, as well as initiatives such as those undertaken by Dr. Ramona Hernandez in the Dominican Studies, Knowledge in Dominican Studies, that particular project, that does begin to bridge that divide in our scholarship, which I think is critical. I'd like to, to end with, just the recognition of the fact that this particular book award does recognize Isis Duarte's many contributions to the studies of gender, the Dominican Republic, and the Caribbean. And that it also recognizes the value of the work of our island colleagues, and that it nurtures a new generation of Caribbeanists, many of them taught by Isis Duarte, either directly or indirectly. While it's been difficult to fill the personal void that was created by her death, family members, friends, and colleagues have vowed to keep alive the memory of this woman who throughout her life sought justice and equality. And also, I do want to note that since her death, there has been a clinic within the Dominican Republic largely devoted to women's health that has been named in her honor. There's also a new community center, Casa Comunitaria Isis Duarte, that was established within the province that I was born and that Isis was born in, as are the other family members that are here today. And this community center is dedicated to arbitration and reconciliation and various programs that seek to eliminate violence towards women, violence towards children, and community violence in general. So to, as an ending, again, I'd like to recognize that the Isis Duarte Book Award and the various centers that now bear her name stand as a testament to her scholarship and activism. And so in name of the Duarte family, we thank you for this honor, and we congratulate those who through their work continue this very important legacy. Thank you.
Thanks everyone for coming, and I particularly want to thank the Duarte family for coming here, and I hope that you will continue to come here as we give this prize every year and honor Isis' memory. I know for one personally, I was very inspired by her work and her efforts as a scholar activist, and I hope that this prize continues to honor that, the work, not just in the archives and with the materials and in the publications, but in spreading that knowledge. And I think that's something that we really tried to focus on as we looked at a number of really amazing contributions, and this is something I'm super excited about, that the number of studies in Dominican and Haitian scholarly work are growing and really taking on an importance in educating young people. And I think, something that has often been considered, relevant to the island, right, but not beyond. And I think we need to think about the ways in which the stories and the narratives from Hispaniola highlight bigger realities for people's, particularly marginalized people, in the way that Isis talked about in other places. And that was one of the most wonderful things about the contributions and the submissions for this year's prize, is that I can say wholeheartedly that every single one contributed something to our understanding, both in the island and beyond, in the way that we can understand our lived realities. And so it is a distinct honor for me, both to become the new section chair, and I hope that we continue to grow and expand, but also to present this prize this year. The contributions this year were from 2014 and 2015, and again, as I said, a really amazing new scholarly work that opened doors into new fields and really started to I think will start to change the conversation. We want to start. We want to give an honorable mention. We had a really hard time. I can't tell you how hard a time we had making this decision because every single book really brought something new and important to the table. And the two that we'll recognize here, I think, are moving us in directions in new areas of research that are not necessarily new, but kind of in innovative ways to the scholarship. And so the first book that we'd like to talk about is Maya Horn's Masculinity After Trujillo, which is receiving the honorable mention this year. Again, because this is so hard. Her book really begins to dig into what the Trujillato has meant for our understanding of gender and sexuality, looking at that through the lens of literature and performance, and the ways, again, in which marginalized people are part of this narrative and part of the way we understand our contemporary reality. And I don't think Maya is here, unless anyone has seen her, but we will sort of honor her later. So moving to the center stage, we are very excited to give the Isis Duarte Prize to a book that has really made some important contributions to the field of Dominican studies, and in particular to Dominican history. We all know and have been having many conversations about how we understand race in the Dominican Republic, given recent debates about the sentencia and how we understand race, anti-Haitianism, and relations between the two. And I think that this work has really shed new light on the way that we can think about that historically. I know that I'm perhaps a bit biased as a historian, but I think it's really important that we dig into how this discourse has developed. And I think this book is really important to really growing that conversation. So it is with great honor that I would like to announce the winner of the Isis Duarte Prize for this year, for books published in 2014, 2015, is our very own April Mays for
Thank you so much. I'll be very brief. Thank you. This means a lot. This has been a year of recognition as I march off to sabbatical, so this is just one more push in that direction, so thank you. I'll just say one thing. This book began as a dissertation. The dissertation began as an idea that got formulated and solidified in this room, in this space. 1998, I was a Mellon Fellow here at DSI. That was when Tavares was the director, and I was living in Washington, D.C., and I would commute up to New York. And Sara Ponte remembers me in the library. I would sit here todos los días with the books, reading dissertations, and that helped me write the perspectives that became the dissertation, that became this book. So this prize very much also belongs to the Dominican Studies Institute. So I want to thank the Dominican Studies Institute for that opportunity and that fellowship so many years ago. Thank you.